if you have experience in some of this stuff, please pipe up, share. I mean, I have experience in some of this stuff, but like working satellites, I tried. It was tough, and it was 15, 20 years ago, and didn't do anything else. But I've seen people do it. I have watched some videos on it, but obviously I'm not an expert on it. And a lot of these topics, we're going to go over a lot of topics tonight. So if you want me to stop and talk about a topic a little bit more, let me know. Most of this is just going to be an overview for you to go get more information on a topic. It's not going to go in depth. So if you're looking to go more in depth, you can do some research on your own. All of this stuff, you can go out on YouTube. If you're on the internet, go out and do a YouTube search on working satellites or QRP or Whisper. You'll find hundreds of videos of people showing you what all this stuff is and get more in depth into that aspect of the hobby. So we're going to do SOTA, Parks on the Air, satellites, contesting, SDR, Whisper, Beacon, APRS, QRP, digital modes, WinLink, propagation reports, clusters, vanity call sign tools, and then we're going to end it with some band characteristics, some of the things that we didn't go over in the HF class. So I don't know if you guys saw this, but 2 days ago, the ARRL proposed to the FCC more band privileges to technicians. It hasn't taken effect, and I don't know what the rigmarole that they have to go through to get this approved. I don't know if it's the FCC does, and then magically it happens, or if they go through a comment period like an RFC and other, So I don't know what the time frame is, but HF single sideband privilege on 75, 40, and 15. So phone 3.9 to 4 megahertz, 40 phone 7225 to 73, and 15 phone 21350 to 450, and then RIDI and digital on 80, 40, 15, and 10. So
now, that 40 meter is almost the general class.
It is.
It goes down to
7175. Yeah. So that's almost the whole band of single sideband.
Two test questions.
Well, so this will, you're right. This would be obviously all technicians that are in the class today and moving forward. So be on the lookout for that. That happened on Tuesday or Wednesday, the 28th, I think, of Tuesday. Yep. All right, Parks on the Air and SOTA. So SOTA is basically you hike up a mountain and you activate that mountain. You get on VHF, UHF, HF, you put an antenna up in the air, and you activate that mountain. I think on SOTA you have to have 3 contacts in order for it to be activated. But if you go to the SOTA website here, I don't know if I can click on, I'm going to click on some of these links. There is a database of SOTA summits, and you can go to Missouri, and most of the summits, so there's somebody brought their dog up to a summit. There's a lot of summits in southern Missouri. You wouldn't think that they would be summits, but I think the rule is you have to go 600 vertical feet, and if you guys are hikers, there's a mountain topper summit directory out there, and there's rules on what constitutes a summit and what doesn't. So it basically gets that database. So it's basically hiking up a mountain and putting an antenna up on the top of that mountain and activating that mountain.
You have to hike up?
You do. So you have to hike up the last 150 feet. So I was at Pikes Peak like 5 or 6 years ago, and I drove up, but then in the spirit of SOTA, I went down 200 feet and hiked back up to the gift shop and threw my antenna over some red rocks and activated the summit. Actually, I didn't know. I just I just walked down and walked back up. I don't know. It doesn't say that in the rules. It just says you have to climb the last 150 feet. It doesn't say with your stuff.
You might as well have somebody else set it up for you.
Well, yeah. Right. So let's get out of that. And then the same thing that applies to Parks on the Air. So Parks on the Air was it had been around for a while, but it's gaining traction with the national parks on the air that the ARRL sponsored last year. They've done another contest. It's called the Grid Chase. So the whole world is sectioned into Maidenhead grids. I think we're like EM48 or EM48. No, okay. This is like that, but it is state parks on the air and other parks. Each park has got a designator. So for example, whenever we did Illinois QSO Party, we were in Wayne Fitzgerald State Park. So to drive up our QSO count, we went out and activated that park. And people all over the world call in to get that park as they are a chaser, and we were the activator. Same thing with Parks are Summits on the Air. You've got activators and you got chasers. So there were people that were chasing us, and we were activating, and we gave out the park designator, and then we confirmed that on Logbook of the World, and they get points for it. So activating a park is basically you get on, you call CQ, and other people contact you, right? So it's just a contact. Yeah, so usually, right. Usually you spot yourself, and you say CQ, Parks on the Air, and then you give out the park designator, and I forgot what our park designator was, and then people call you to claim or to contact that park. Does that make sense? Yep.
Define spot yourself.
Spot yourself is there are clusters, and I'm going to get into clusters, but there are lists on the internet that update every second almost, and it's basically people that spot other people, or you can spot yourself, and you put your call sign, you put your frequency that you're on, and either your location or your park number or your Maidenhead or whatever you want to put in another field to designate where you are at. Yeah.
What's EM? Is EM a location of Missouri or what?
EM is if you go out and Google Maidenhead, it is the world has been segmented into, I think it's 15 degrees latitude and 10 degrees longitude, maybe. I can't remember. And it's I think is created for sailors, to tell you the truth, or maybe pilots. I don't know.
Probably pilots. There's over the land also.
Yeah, right.
It's on the aeronautical map. So.
Okay. So it's a system, right? Just like your zip code is a system, right? Somebody created it, and we all follow it. Maidenheads are the same thing. And this is, holy moly. So this is DX Summit, like Dan said. These people are spotting other people. So look at this. N4ZOO just spotted XRZ or 0YD lower sideband on frequency 7240.6. Oh, He's on Easter Island. Did I do that? Yeah, 10 dot. Yep, sorry. And you can see it just updated. So if you're chasing DX, and there are programs out there that will take this information and it will literally, if you say I'm looking for Easter Island or I'm looking for Aruba or the Czech Republic, it literally can text you, and shoot you the info so you can run to your radio and dial that in and see if you can hear them.
You're at www.dxsummit.fi.
Yeah.
What's FI?
Finland?
Finland? Yeah.
There's other ones. If you go out to the internet and just type in DX cluster, just DX cluster, there's a whole slew of them. This is all the back end. It's just basically a big IRC telnet chat, and it just takes the information that's fed to it, and then it disseminates it out and replicates it to all these databases. Yep. And then you can come in here and share a spot. So I can come in and say my call, A, 0Z, and then I hit the share button, and it puts it out there. So let's say, I put EM48. If someone is looking for EM48 on their Maidenhead, they'd be shared out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but okay.
Good. There's some YouTube videos. Do some more research on it.
Later when I get there.
Yep. Okay.
If you chase a particular call sign, you can type it in the search bar and change all the ones that
Yeah. There's a bunch of filters you can do. You can, like I said, you can set it up to send a text to your phone. It's a little crazy. Yep.
Go down to Gateway Arts, grounds, and broadcast, and put to parks on the air down there.
You can, yeah. You need a permit. I actually did that. We did the Jefferson National Expansion down there, and you have to have a permit to light that one up. But yeah, you can. Yep.
Why would you have to have a permit if you just go with your cell phone? I mean, what's the difference? I don't understand.
No. It was whenever national parks on the air, and they don't, because it's a national park and because it's a sensitive area, you had to have a permit to put up an antenna and transmit.
Well, what if you? Okay, probably so. I know, but if you walk around with an antenna on your backpack,
They
How fine-tuning the oscillators would work.
yeah.
gotcha. All right.
It won't even tune up on 160.
It still doesn't make sense to me, but okay.
Yeah. If you went and put an antenna on your back,
You look a lot more suspicious.
yeah, they'll shut you down.
Yeah.
They'll shut you down.
You won't get very far.
Right. Okay. Satellites. So if you go to amsat.org, that is the governing body that puts all the information together about AMSAT. There are a ton of amateur radio satellites in space, and they basically just repeat the signal. So the 146.85 repeater that you guys have probably listened to, think if you put that into a box about this big and you put it in space. That's all it does. It repeats signals, and typically it has an input frequency on, oh, now you're going to test me, UHF?
Either way.
Yeah, it's either way. The old ones have got the input frequency on UHF and the downlink frequency on VHF. So you kind of have to have, sometimes you have to have two radios to get into them. And then also what you'll see is people have two handhelds and they've got a duplexer and they've got one Yagi, those tape measure antennas that Cliff has made and whatnot. They're hunting around and you can go and get information on where it's going to come up off of the horizon, how far it's going to come out, and then where it's going to set, and you can track it with your Yagi and get into it that way. And the QSOs are very short. So you give your call, so you'll call CQ, and you'll give your grid square, EM48, right? So it's very quick, and usually they last anywhere between 2 seconds to 3 minutes. Usually is about the length of them.
My neighbor's done that crazy. Have you done this, Quinn? Anybody done this? Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You can get apps on the phone and computer to control the information about what satellite.
I want to be there when you guys do this. That's cool.
So look it up on YouTube. There's a kid. It's called, the YouTube channel is called Space Comms. He's great.
Space Com?
Comms. Yep. He does like one a week. You know, he'll get into it, and then he'll set you up, and he's got different views. It's awesome. It's awesome.
How do you talk to the astronauts?
You can talk to, so the International Space System Station has got 2 ham radios on board, and they've got a APRS site too. They've got 2 Kenwood TM710 GAs.
No, I know of 2 that buildings. There may be more. I know St. Clair did it one time, and Tom Doherty did it one time. There's about a 15-page application you need to fill out with NASA, and it show you equipment and everything.
Well, that's to do in school content.
Yeah, school content. You can do it by yourself.
If there's an astronaut who's got downtime and wants to chat, you don't have to.
Yeah.
You know, and because I was driving to St. Charles one day, and this was several years ago, had the radio on scan, it stopped because, you know, there was a hit, and it was one of the astronauts says, "Hey, St. Louis, I'm flying over you right now, anybody want to chat?" And then all of a sudden the radio exploded. You know, every ham just you know, trying to grab the mic and make that contact. And he had it for probably, no, I think he was a little less because it wasn't
12 minutes maximum. From horizon to horizon.
But, you know, it was interesting. I'm telling the boys to shut up and listen.
Yeah, but that's pretty cool. You can say I was talking to extraterrestrials, right?
Yeah,
I made contact with extraterrestrials.
There's videos
Had a
on YouTube
conversation.
about it, too. So it's,
How cool is that?
It's neat to watch.
Yep.
That is
And the school, I know St. Clair did it, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. And they had all kinds of equipment. They had Bob Howe set up the microphones, and they had the kids come in and, "Hi, this is so and so, blah blah blah. You know, what are you doing up there?" And it shows the YouTube video shows between the communication from the school and the astronauts too. Somehow they did it. You know, I mean, it was programmed.
Yep.
Brilliant.
So if you go to the AMSAT website, you'll see this graph, and it shows you all of the satellites, and then where they've been heard. So some of them are dead because their batteries have died and they're just floating around in space. Some of them are very active. Some of them have become space junk. One of them has been found recently. Yeah. Nope.
So is the B one more than a dead one?
Probably, yeah. Probably. All right. So on to contesting. Contesting, you know, is the radio sport we talked earlier. Contesting basically is you try and make as many contacts with other hams in a certain amount of period. Usually you call CQ contest, and sometimes that contest has like CQ field day, CQ milk QSO party, CQ DX worldwide. Usually, if they're a good operator, they'll call the contest that they're calling for. Some of them just don't. They just call CQ contest, and you have no idea what contest, because there could be, you know, like in this shot, you know, there are it's a calendar. If you can't see it, this is March 3rd, March 4th. There's 2 contests going on at the same time. So sometimes it gets a little crazy whenever there's 4 or 5 contests going on at one time. But if you go out to contest calendar, you can see all the contests that are happening around the world on any given day. So basically, it's the radio sport of ham radio. This weekend is a big contest. It's single sideband, the ARRL DX contest. So that's a big contest.
You're taking that?
Yep. I'm going down to Ward Silver's tomorrow to contest. Yep. And then usually what the contesters use is this program called Ed1MM. It's a free program that you can download, and it's got all the contests built in. So it's once you figure out how to set it up, it's very easy. And typically people use this or that N3. What is that? The N3FPJ something like that. Sorry, I don't have that acronym. It's a guy that programs another logging software. It's done in Visual Basic. It's very basic, but it works. It's good. N3FJP. Okay, that's another good one. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He writes several different versions of his software for different things.
Yep. Yep. There's every 4 years there's an Olympics of radio sport. It's called WRTC, World Radio TC something championship. And they pick a site 2 or 4 years ago, I forgot. So it's coming up in Germany this year, 2018, maybe 19, I don't know. But 18. In 2014, it was in Massachusetts, and they basically they get 2 teams, or there's 50 teams or 60 teams, and they're 2-man teams, and they pick a area within the same geographic location, and they set up the same station, same antenna, and they try and mimic. All right, you're in the same location, you got the same antennas, you got the same everything, and it's a contest on who makes the most contacts in that area. So, it'd be unfair if somebody was trying to contact Europe and they were in New York and they had the same people contesting in California, right? It's a little bit long of a haul to do that. So they try and put them all in one area that have the same height, geographic properties, this and that, to make it fair, and they contest. There you go.
But they actually just closed the application for 2022.
There you go.
So they plan ahead.
You have to win like 3 or 4 of the big ones in order for you to be eligible to even participate. And these guys put their butt in the seat for 40 hours, week in, week out. I mean, it's almost like a full-time job to be a serious contester. Because some of these contests are 48 hours long.
So they're addictive.
Yeah, it's a drug. Yeah. All right, software-defined radio. So I did a whole program on software-defined radio. It's out on the website. We need to send the YouTube videos out again. We'll have Sharon do that. But I did a whole program on SDR. Basically, you can get into SDR, a software-defined radio, for $25. You can buy that top dongle on Amazon. You plug it into the side of your computer through the USB port up here. You hook a little antenna up to it, and you've got a more advanced one, that SDR Play. It's $200. And then you download HD SDR our SDR sharp. Load that on your computer. It recognizes the dongle, and you can listen to the world on that thing. Granted, you got to have a decent antenna, just like you would have a decent antenna for your HF rig. But you can listen to all the 2-meter frequencies, anything up to 6 or 7 gigahertz.
Now, aren't you doing that program for ARRS?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
In a couple of weeks, I don't remember the date.
Yeah. Crap, I forgot about that.
It would be on your calendar, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm going to do the SDR presentation again for ARRS. When is that? Second week in March?
I don't remember.
Second Monday in March.
Right. It's here at Florence Jewish Hospital.
Yeah.
This weekend starting, we're doing the ARRS training.
Oh, yeah, the MCOM class.
Right.
Yep. 12th, March 12th, 7:30.
So what's the difference between the entry level and the other one?
On the MCOM?
The difference between the $25 one and the $200 one.
Oh, well, so if you buy the $25 dongle, you're really only going to hear really strong signals. It's not going to have the greatest receiver in the world, right? You can listen to our 2-meter repeater, 146.85. If you put it on HF, you're going to hear strong signals. You're going to hear people that are near to you that have, an S9, 20 over. I mean, you're probably going to hear S5s too, but you're not going to pull those weak stations out of the mud.
So what antenna are you hooking up to this?
You can hook a dipole. You can a long wire.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be anything fancy. If you get it outside, you're gonna hear a lot more stuff, right?
You have to get the right adapter
Yeah. So if you get your antenna outside, you have to hook this little guy up to coax and feed it out to outside your window, and then have your antenna outside.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're only on receive, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be resonant, SWR, or anything like that. You remember in your class, I disconnected the 2-meter radio, put it on 16255, stuck the key in the back and picked it up.
Right.
So you can receive just any kind of wire. The longer the better, though.
Yeah. Yep.
But wouldn't it be cool to listen in and see, as you hear events happening around the world, earthquakes or otherwise, hear what's maybe going on? It's in English, I guess.
Yep. So you can, if you don't have, that capability to put stuff outside your window, you can go out, and if you go to websdr.org, sdr.org, there are people that have put their SDRs on the web, and it streams.
So this is WSPR1.
Well, you go to WebSDR, and then you can pick the station.
Okay.
This is the contest. This is the ARRL DX contest that's happening right now. So, Whiskey 7 Radio Mexico is calling CQ, and people are trying to contact him. So all of these, so let me, hang on. So all of these little hashes that you see, those are all people talking that this SDR is picking up. And you can see the band is packed because there's a contest. You know whenever contests are happening, because the band is a big contest, the band is packed with people. And even whenever the band, people say that the band isn't open or you can't hear anybody, contests force the band open. Like you can hear people from around the world. Oh, I can't hear anybody on 20 meters. Tune your radio on 20 meters on a contest weekend, you'll hear people.
So what is the motivation for a lot of people for this addiction?
I don't know.
Well, you do it. I mean, obviously you kind of.
Yeah, I like the competition. That's the bottom line. Nope. All right, moving on. We got a lot of stuff to go over. Whisper, weak signal propagation reporting. So if I go out to this website, basically it is if you connect these, basically it's you put your call on the air through these little bitty radio transceivers. Sometimes it's microns of a watt, right? So it's half a watt, 3/4 of a watt, and other stations are listening on a certain frequency, and they're picking up your signal, and it automatically reports it on the web. So you can see how your station is being heard in other parts of the world on less than a watt. So you can come down here, and so this is the 30-meter band. Let's go up to 20 meters. And there's specific frequencies that other people that you're listening on and other people are listening on too. And you tune your transceiver to those frequencies. And so let's say KV0S, he's hearing VE6 EGN like in the last 10 minutes. VE6, is that Canada or is that Australia? Is that Canada? Yeah. You can. So if you log in with your username and password, you can get a whole bunch of statistics. So whenever you put your station on the air, you log in, create a login and password, and then create that, validate that who you are, and then you can go and run statistics on who heard you. Let's say you put your station on the air from 6 p.m. until 6 a.m., and then you can go and do statistics on who heard you during that 12-hour period.
Now, is this through repeaters or super antenna?
No, this is through HF. Yep, it's HF only. Well, no, I think that they've got, you can do, so here you go. Here's the frequencies. So if you wanted to go on 40 meters, you put your radio on 7.0368, 86. And other people are listening on that frequency, and they all report up to the internet who's hearing who. Does that make sense? So it's a good way to, you're probably saying, well, why would I do that? It's a good way to finding out how good your antenna is. It's a good way of finding out if the band is open. It's a good way of, well, those are about the only two that I can think of off the top of my head. Yeah, so if you buy, typically you buy a kit. I mean, you can go out to, there's a place called Soda Beams, and they sell a kit that you can buy, or a pre-made kit. If you go out and buy this kit, they're all very, very easy kits to put together, and they're all They're all like a tenth of a watt, a quarter of a watt. You don't want to blast, 10 watts out there. People, I'm sure that there's a forum and they'll probably shame you on the forum. I've never done this before. I have seen some people that have, and they go out and say, hey, I contacted, Australia on a half a watt. Oh, that's right, Tony. Yeah. Yep. So if you do FT8, JT65, JT9, that program's got it built in. And that's a good point, Tony. I totally didn't realize that. You don't have to have one of these little bitty kits to work Whisper. But if you do, I would turn your radio down to 1 watt. So you don't get bashed by the Whisper police. Yeah, and they'll do it anonymously too. Yes. So here's one of those kits, the Ultimate 3 by the QRP Lab guys. If you're into kit building, the QRP Labs, the Soda Beam, there's other kit makers out there that it's all I'm no solder guru. What's the through hole solder, where you basically just put the resistor through the through holes, and then you solder it down, and then you clip the ends. I mean, if I can put a kit together, anybody else can. And there's a ton of kits out there that you can build. It's great for kids to learn how to solder. It's
years ago, Mike, me and you were involved. We did kits. What was the operator kit? And the circuit board, and you just thread the transistor, whatever it is, through the whole solder.
Right. Yeah, they're really easy.
They
got a lot of
collection.
Okay.
And they actually offer solid plots too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I probably need to take that. My soldering jobs look like big globs of solder. When all else fails, just use a blowtorch. All right. Reverse beacon network. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. This is basically the same thing as Whisper, but CW. So if you call CQ with your call sign on CW, somebody that's listening on the whole band might pick you up. And then you can go through here and figure out how well your antenna is working, if anybody is hearing you. So if you're into CW and you call CQ with your call sign, they've got computers that are listening the whole band, SDRs, and they will report you on the reverse beacon network. So one way to see if you're getting out, if you know CW.
I know one that does. Jill, I know you're only about 25 words a minute. How do you talk that fast?
I haven't used it, but I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I've got to do here. That's a fun project.
Yeah. Yep. So another way, is my radio on? Is this thing on? It's a good way to find out if your radio's on. All right. APRS, Automatic Packet Reporting System. People think that it's Automatic Positioning Reporting System. It's actually packet radio. So it's analog. It sends different tones. Remember the modems that we used to dial up the internet with?
Yeah.
Same stuff, right? So if you go out to APRS.fi, people can search on your call sign and if you've got your APRS set up, it beacons out. So on my radio, I've got it to beacon out, let's say, every 10 seconds, right? So it sends a beacon out on a specified frequency, 144.39. It sends it out, and there's different, just like Whisper and just like Reverse Beacon Network, there are different things out on the iGates. iGates are stations that are connected to the internet, and there are digipeaters, and it takes that signal and it broadcasts it out to other people. So it repeats it, and it brings it into the internet and plots it on a graph. So this is my tracks. I think this was like 3 or 4 days. So I travel for my job. So one day I went to Columbia, Missouri. So you can see that coming all the way through. I went up to St. Peter's. I went, I don't know where I was down there. But then I live in South City, so that's where I was at. Yeah, well, no, B-Dubs is down here, Max. Come on. So if you want to know where I'm at, you can Google my call sign, and it'll bring you here, and then you can put my old one. Yeah, if you put N0KTK. No. If you put N0KTK -9, so there's different identifiers for different, like -9. Don't ask me why this is. -9 is usually mobile. Like -7 is pedestrian. Is there a balloon? -2 is balloon. Yeah, balloons are -2. So there's a whole matrix of designators and things that you can do with APRS.
What's the website on there again?
APRS.fi. Now? Yeah, I was coming here. You probably ask, what is this good for? One of the things that, well, okay, yeah, a good example, Bike MS. So we've got trackers, Rebecca, has got trackers on all of the vehicles that come and pick people up whenever they're done riding, they've had enough, they keel over, whatever the case may be. One of the things that I've worked net control 1 or 2 times, I can't remember, one time. We can put this up on the screen, and you can tell where the SAG drivers are located at, because they beacon out, and it gets put on the internet, and then someone calls in and says, you know, the rest stop, or we've got a rider between rest stop 2 and 3 that needs to be picked up. Well, then they can go out and figure out that the SAG vehicle 22 is between rest stop 1 and 2. They can call that SAG vehicle and send them to that rider. Another example of this is you don't have to have the internet. You can get a GPS, and you can start plotting people on the GPS. So therefore, it's situational awareness. Let's say you have a disaster, and you want to find out where people are at. Well, then you can listen to that 144.39 frequency, and it starts to plot people on your GPS. And in a disaster area, you can see where people are at. If you need to dispatch people to different locations, you can get the closest person to be dispatched. So it's got a bunch of uses. You can set up your radio to beacon every 5 seconds, every 2 minutes. It's all selectable, but there is usually in decent APRS radios, there is a thing called Smart Beacon, and it figures out, it has a GPS chip in it, and it figures out, all right, I'm going in a straight line. I'm not going to beacon out every 5 seconds. I'm going to beacon out until I turn. And then once you turn, it says, oh, you've turned. or you've got another direction, I'm going to beacon out. So basically, yeah, battery saver, and it's good practice not to flood the network.
Something happens to you in that straight line.
True. That is an issue. It does speed, yeah. So if you click on if you clicked on your call, it would tell you how fast you're going. Yeah. Yep.
When our oldest son was 16, we made him get his amateur radio license because Bill told him if you want to drive our car, you have to have a license because we have APRS in it. The first time he drove the car, he took our youngest son to a birthday party, and he never got above like 5 miles an hour the whole time because it's beacon every time he came into or pulled away from a stop sign or a stop light. So he was like the model grandma driver.
So APRS is obviously pretty cool to figure out where people are at. One thing that my parents live in Florida. They live in Fort Myers. They're snowbirds, and I usually go down and see them once a year. And they know my call sign, and they just get on APRS.fi, and they can figure out where I'm at.
Do that the weekend of and it's peak vibration.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Yeah, it is really interesting watching the map, and you just see all these beacons.
Yep.
Converging.
Not nearly as big.
No, I believe that. Is it noticeable?
There's also a group down, I want to say it's in like Louisville, Kentucky or somewhere, that they've set up APRS units to give reports. So they will point out that, similar to what Waze does, mapping software,
Yeah.
that they'll give reports if this road is now closed, even car on the side of the road, traffic cam, and they'll do that on their APRS. So if you're traveling through the area, you're getting these signal reports on what's going on in traffic.
Yeah.
There are people that turn in and come up on the top of the road, or like signs, highway signs and stuff, and then put monitors for traffic. Like, probably that's one of the main things that probably Rob for Magda, who is the grandfather of APRS, he's come up with a lot of different options for what you can do.
Yeah. There's and there's other things you can do with APRS. It's not just positioning. You can broadcast out weather stuff too. So if you've got a weather station at home, you can hook it up to APRS and broadcast out your weather at your house. The next version of that was it's going to be or they're proposed that it's called APRS X, and it's the next version. APRS has been out for, I don't know, 30 years.
The CWAP program uses APRS, keeps into the APRS.
Yeah.
That's why when you look at APRS 5, you see the WX indicator. It's not actually maybe about the CWAPs that are
Yep. Okay, QRP. So basically QRP is operating at low power while attempting to make contacts. Power usually is 5 watts, less than 5 watts for CW, or 10 watts for single sideband. Now, there's some scrutiny. People are just like, you're crazy. Now it's 5 watts for everything. It's basically using low power to make contacts. So one of the things, like, we talked about SOTA, talked about national parks. Usually those are not usually. You can take your rig on top of a mountain, your 100-watt rig, but you're going to lug it up there, right? Typically, whenever you go to a mountaintop and operate, you're operating by one of these QRP rigs. And down here on the lower left, that is an LDG. The middle is a Yaesu FD 857, yeah. And then up at the top is a KX3, and then the bottom is a KX2. those Elecraft rigs are awesome. I don't know if anybody has a K3 or K3S at home. It's got the same interface. It's awesome. I have a KX3. I love mine. It is awesome.
Kyle, at Hampton several years ago, I think it was Washington, Mark A0YY, do I know Dan knows? Yes, we did a picture on this light, too short.
Yeah. That brings me to my next point. Why do QRP? Well, why contest? It's the thrill of making a QSO halfway around the world on 5 watts, right? That's why you do it. You know, people say, you know, oh, it's 2,000 miles a watt. You know.
You're taking battery.
Yep. So I've done some soda. Now, usually they have these, and typically I should have brought one in. I've made a bunch of them. It's an end-fed, so it's just like a 9-to-1 ballon, about this big, weighs less than a quarter of a pound, and then I've got just an end-fed wire that's like 32 feet, and I throw a weight up into a tree, and then I just pull that antenna up, and I put my ballon on the ground, put some 10-foot of coax, there's my antenna.
Now, I've heard some people say you have 100-foot power and 1,500 watts and they don't need to do anything. Anybody can do it, but somebody that can make 5 watts get it around the world just like 1,500 watts. Expertise, talent,
Yeah.
and an elite group. I mean, that's the way they look at themselves.
Keep in mind, the difference between 5 watts and 100 watts is like a couple of S units, right? So if you're going to call CQ on 5 watts, somebody might hear you at an S5. Now, that guy if you put the same antenna and put 100 watts through it, they're going to hear you at an S7 or an S8, right? You would think, oh, no, that's, you know, you're using 95 more watts of power. I hear you. But I guarantee you, if you get that antenna up and you get it on the air, and somebody with a decent antenna at home, just a dipole that's up, you know, a quarter wave above, and propagation is there, they'll hear you. But propagation, you know, yeah, that's where it counts. Even if you have 100 watts, even if you have 1,500 watts, propagation's not there, you're not going to get out.
5 watts to 100 watts.
Yep. There you go. Yep. So you can make contacts on 5 watts, but it is more of a challenge. So whenever Sterling and I did our HF presentation, we told the class, don't start on 5 watts. If you're looking to get into HF, get a 100-watt rig and get on the air with that. That'll get you the most bang for your buck. And then if you get bored with that, then go to QRP.
Or what you're doing.
Yeah. Figure out what you're doing for 30 years, and then actually, you know, people that have been in the hobby 30 years, some of them still don't know what they're doing. Yeah, there you go. I'll tell you a quick story. I was up on friends and I hiked in Rocky Mountain National Park, and we were not on Long's Peak. We were on some other peak, and I took my KX3 out, and I called CQ for an hour. No one came back to me, and I was up on a peak that was 12,500 feet, and propagation just wasn't there. The band was closed, and so I'm like, something's wrong with my radio. There's just no way. There's no way. And then got back off the mountain and looked at the band reports. There was a solar storm happening. Had no idea.
Some of them are made in outdoor doctors.
Yeah. You can. I mean, there's guys that have made kits that are like a half a watt, and
Classically, the 70s, the 400 210-2.
Tune in to.
Tune at 10, 2. The radio built for the tune at 10.
Oh yeah, okay, gotcha. Yeah, nope. All right. Digital modes: PSK 31, RIDI, JT65, JT9, FT8. Everyone's doing FT8. That's the rage. It's the rage of the kids. Kids are all into FT8. Fast transfer.
The guys, two guys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It is Joe Taylor and some Japanese guy, I think. Yeah, you're right, Mike. So Joe Taylor, JT, he invented JT65 and JT9. Those are modes that take like, I think it's like 52 seconds per, is it 50? 52 seconds per transmission. I think it's like 4 minutes per QSO or something like that. Yeah, I'm getting some nods. FT8 is 15 seconds per transmission, 1 minute per QSO.
Stephen Frank and Joe Taylor.
Stephen Frank and Joe Taylor.
Frank and Taylor.
Frank and Taylor.
But it's supposed to be really good at most boards.
It is. It is. And they've, I don't know if it's out of beta. I mean, version 1.8 of the WJTS 65 is out, but they're inventing, or maybe they've already invented it, or they put it in the final version. I haven't downloaded it, but they're putting together a Fox and Hound mode, and it's going to be for DXpeditions, where they just put it on auto, and it just cranks out QSOs, 600 per hour, I think they said. So if you're, you know,
That's supposed to be 1.9.
okay, there you go, 1.9. So 1.8 is out right now, but the Fox and Hound, I'm sure whenever those guys get on Easter Island, Bouvet, they're gonna probably use Fox and Hound, and they'll crank out 600 QSOs per minute or per hour. That's insane. So here's the interface. It comes with a waterfall. Oh, let me go back. So in order for to do digital modes, you got to hook up your computer to your radio. This right here is called a signal link. You can also get a rig blaster. You can also pipe it directly into your sound card.
Which is better?
Having an external sound card is best because it takes all of the birdies out of the transmission. So
You need a high-speed sound card?
no. So this Tigertronics signal link is like $85. You get the chip for your radio. I think that's like $15. You hook that up USB, maybe put a ferrite bead between it and the sound card, and then you're on the air. It plugs into usually the mic jack or the accessory jack on the back of your computer. I'm sorry, into the back of your radio. And then you put your radio sometimes in digital mode. All digital mode is upper sideband. There's no lower sideband on digital. So if you get on 160, don't put your radio in the lower sideband. Put it in upper sideband.
Not the same device used for the listening.
You can, yeah. Yep. So you can kill two birds with one stone with WinLink and this. Yep. I think the rig blaster is like $125. The Tigertronics is like $85, $90. But then you got to get the chip for your radio. But it's only like $15. So this is the interface. Here is the WSJTX. Here's a QSO example. Let's see if I can get to the point where they're actually doing a QSO. And there's no sound, but you can see that green bar at the bottom. That's the transmission or the receive, and you can see how. So I'm calling a Crete station, and it's every 15 seconds.
Is there anything that tells you how big the signal is or isn't?
One of the reports is a dB below the noise floor. This is a great way if you have a horrible antenna, like I do at my house. So I live in the city. I live behind Ted Drew's on Chippewa, and our lots are 30 feet wide by 120 feet. I have a horrible antenna. But I love FT8.
But great ice Yeah.
Now, do you have any special program to reset the timer on your computer for time if this thing goes to the top of the hour?
Yeah, good point. Good point. So you have to be synchronized within a second, I believe, on your computer with other users, or it won't decode anything. So if you put this on the air and you can hear stations, and if you go out and there's specified frequencies that you listen to, if you're not decoding anything, your time is off on your computer.
And this site actually links to another site in Germany with a TCP client that you can install to take care of that.
Okay, so I
see if your computer is synced already. Time.is is the website.
Yeah, I downloaded a NTP client, Network Time Protocol. I'll get out my laptop and I'll tell you what it is. It was on SourceForge or it was a free product. Somebody, and it goes out, and every hour it syncs my time up within a millisecond or something.
These could be a product, a national product. But the one that the study that we're doing for that, you need to have a national process.
Well, they don't need to because NTP has become a standard based on what they get.
Yep. So if you're not decoding anything, there are FT8 signals on every single band, 24 hours a day, and it's jam packed. I mean, like I said, it's all the rage now.
So if you're looking up on the mouse, can you sync to WWD?
You can't. Yeah, you can. Yep. Gotta be quick though.
Right.
So I use this NTP client, sync my time, open. But Mark, you're saying that it's got it's got a synchronization inside of.
Well, the time.is simply tells you if you're synced.
Oh, I see. I gotcha.
The program that's linked from that site, they talk about needing an NTP client and link you to the download.
Okay, gotcha.
And it just installs and runs in the background. There's nothing you have to do to it other than follow what you want to say.
Okay, gotcha. Well, it's automatic then.
And I think it's ntp.org, pool.ntp.org,
Put-
something like that, will give you a host name to connect with. And
Right.
it figures out the time delay and gets you some.
Yeah, it's all in Rod and Ron, buddy. Yep. So if yep.
What's offered to you, like,
Yeah.
has one for 50, 65, so forth. We use for
Yeah, so you can use, so I didn't explain that very well. WSJTX does FT8, JT65, JT9. Yeah, it does Whisper, it does a bunch of other stuff. So basically to do digital modes, you need two pieces of software. You need WSJTX and FLDigi. You download those two pieces of software, all your digital needs are met.
What was the last one?
FLDigi, it's up here. FLDigi is a good program for all the other digital modes. So there's a ton of them. There's PSK 31, PSK 64, RTTY, Olivia, one called Hell. If you bring down the drop down menu on choosing a mode, there's probably 15 or 20 modes that you can choose. If you're starting out, start on PSK 31. That's the easiest one.
What was the first one?
It was here. Yeah, WSJTX. Whiskey, what's J? Juliet. What's my name? Yep. It's been a long day. So FL Digi is the next one. It will do PSK 31, RTTY, all the rest of them. And it's got a nice waterfall down here. What is being basically broadcast and you're listening to pops up in this yellow window. Things that you want to transmit gets put into this window. You can set up macros. You can do a bunch of stuff with it. If you go out on the internet and look up YouTube and type in PSK 31 or FL Digi, it's a whole plethora of stuff. People teaching you how to set your radio up. I'm sure that there's even a YouTube video on, if you got a TS2000, how to set it up. Yeah, but it's in, yeah, that's a good point. I seem to pick the radios that they're all in German or Japanese or WinLink. So Peter Brisbane did a presentation on WinLink that will be out on if you're a Suburban member, you get that option for free to go and look at that presentation. We will send that out in 2 months. It's our schedule. We send them out 2 months later than the actual presentation. WinLink, if you weren't in the class, is basically email over HF. So let's say you're like, well, why would I do that? That's horrible. I've got the internet. Let's say you're on a ship out in the middle of the ocean and you want to get a message to a loved one. Well, you dial the WinLink up, you hook it into your HF computer or your HF receiver. You get on a certain frequency, you connect to that frequency, you send an email. The lower in frequency you go, the slower it is, right? I think that's a test question. I think like 80 meters is like 300 baud, maybe? I don't know. Somebody keep me honest. I don't know what it is. Maybe 160 meters is 300 baud. Yeah.
I think there's 1,200 up until 2 meters.
There you go. Mark knows.
But I think I remember from taking testing.
Keep in mind, on 2.4 gigahertz, your wireless connection in your house, depending on what you're running, you can do about, realistically, probably 150 to 300 megabits per second. Not bytes, bits. There's a difference. So that's fast compared to 9600 baud. But no wire, yeah. Yes, around the world, long distance, right? So if you're interested in doing a lot of emergency communications, if things go a little awry and you want to get a message out, it's the way to do it. Propagation reports. So everyone has probably gone to a ham radio website and have seen the thing on the right those are those banners that tell you if the band is open or not. One, I'll tell you, don't look at those. If you're looking at those and you want to get on HF, you're doing the wrong thing. Even if the band is closed, call CQ. See if somebody will hear you. That is not a representation of if the band is open where you're at, right? But if there's a solar storm happening, it's probably going to be on that banner, right? So things that are in red are poor, things are in yellow or in fair, and things that are in green, and it's got the band, you can't see over here, it's 80 through 40 meters, is day is fair, night is good. Now, 80 meters is always open, because the guys talking about their medical conditions force it open.
According to those charts.
But if you want to get on the bands, 80 meters after 7 p.m., it's always open. It's always open. And another one I kind of like is this band conditions. It gives you a kind of a report. This, I think, is more accurate than these banners. This is bandconditions.com. These are nice when you're out working portable and you're calling CQ with 5 watts and you're trying to figure out why no one's hearing you, and you see all of these pointers, you know, at the very bottom. You can probably think, well, maybe something's going on that I don't know about. It's a solar thing, yep. It's not that frequent. It's probably, I don't know, once every couple months. But if there's no sunspots, so we're in a sunspot lull right now. Sunspots rotate every 11 years, right? We're in a solar minimum right now, where there's like no sunspots on the sun. If you take a look at the graphs, like back in the 80s and the 90s, there were hundreds of sunspots on the sun, and it just, the propagation, you could literally talk around the world on 10 meters. So if the predictions are right, we're in a solar minimum right now. I think it starts to come back up like in 2021, and then we'll hit the peak.
We haven't hit bottom yet.
We haven't hit bottom yet. So we still got a ways to go, and then it starts to peak back up, and then I think the next solar maximum is like 2030, something like that. So, but that doesn't mean that you can't get on the radio and call CQ, because you saw in the SDR, there's a ton of stations. There still is stations on the air calling CQ and making contacts. So. Another website that I love to mess around map is this vocap website. So you can put your location, you can put what antenna you're going to use, what frequency, and it will predict where you think, or where it's the propagation will be. So Ward Silver, if you go back out to the YouTube site, and Ward did a propagation presentation, and he was trying to get some de-expedition. It might have been Easter Island, I don't know where it was, but he did a propagation summary prediction of when would the best time for his house in St. Charles to contact, let's say, Easter Island, with his antenna, with his station, and he put all the stuff into this program that's free on the net, and it said the best time to contact Easter Island is at 3:52 in the morning on 80 meters. So what did he do? He got on 80 meters at 3:52 a.m. He contacted that de-expedition at like 2 minutes later.
What's this program name?
It's called VOCAP, VOACAP.com, and it's a prediction website.
And that's from what's left of Voice of America guys.
Yeah.
Still doing it on a volunteer basis.
Right. Yep.
It's outdated stuff.
Yep. So it's run by guys from Voice of America. Yeah. So so a good example would be if the guys get on Bouvet Island, right? So the first one was scrubbed, right? Some Brazilian guys are trying again to get on Bouvet Island. Once they get on Bouvet, you can do a propagation study for, let's say you've got a free day on Sunday. You can get and say, all right, I've got a dipole at 30 feet and I'm running 100 watts and I'm located in St. Louis and I want to contact Bouvet Island. It will tell you the best time to call CQ or to contact them. If they're calling CQ on that band, now you have to get a little lucky, but if they're calling CQ on 20 meters and that's the time that is the best propagation from you to them, that will be the best time for you to get on and try and contact them. So here's clusters. So there's a bunch of clusters. So we talked about that DX Summit.fi, but there's DX Watch, there's DX Heat. There's a bunch of them. If you just Google DX cluster, I think there's probably like 50 of them. The cool thing is you can actually run your own DX cluster if you want. You can get a Raspberry Pi, download some software. It'll run a DX cluster. You can get the data. You know, you point it to a server and it pulls the data every minute, and you can run it on your Raspberry Pi. And then this bottom one down here, this is a list. So this is November 1 YankeeZulu.com. If you just go to that website, www.n1yz.com, it lists all the nets, the HF nets. And there's a net going on at all times, right? You dial in 40 meters, there's a net going on. There's Country Cousins, there's the 2 a.m. net, there's the I Just Want to Have a net at 3:30. I mean, it's just insane how many nets are going on. The what? The Hole in the Wall gang, the Breakfast Club, I like to peel and eat apples net. You know, it's just you name it, there's a net for it. So, and then the other one is that contest calendar. So if you like checking the nets, check that website out. Vanity call sign tools. So a lot of the technicians, once you upgrade to general, they just assign you or you can keep your call sign, but if you want the next one in line, a 1x3, they'll assign it to you. But let's say you don't want that anymore, right? You want a vanity call sign. So whenever I got N0KTK, KTK is my initials, so I went out to AE7Q.com, and you can go out on that website and see what calls are available. So you click on the 10, and it's a little confusing. Here, I'll go out there. It's a little confusing on going to this website. So you go to the call region, and because we're a 0, you go to call region 0, but you don't have to. So now, back in the day, if you were in Missouri, you could only get a 0 call. That's not the case anymore. If you want a 1 call or a 2 call or a 6 call, you can apply for it. It's not by region anymore. So if you come down here to 10 and click on, it'll tell you the last 2x2 that was assigned, the last 2x3 that was assigned. And then if you keep scrolling, it automatically does the available 2x1 and 1x2 and 2x1 calls. So let's say you're trying for a 1x2. So you come down here and you got that end date and available date. So you scan down through here and you can see that there's not a lot going on. Oh, the next one, let's say here, K0FV. He's done 422. I can apply for it for 423. Right? You can do that with any call.
I mean, they could still renew it.
Yep, totally. Yep. But I think that there's a rule that, you can, but you have to check the rules. There's a bunch of rules that like once you don't renew it, you get like 90 days. What? Yeah, I think there's still a 1-year grace period, but yeah, you'll have to. I forgot what the rule is.
Now, there's also some limitations on track, too. You can only get a 1x2 if you're what's general, and they have to do what they are.
1x2 and 2x1s are only extras. Right. Yep. Generals are 1x3s. Extras are also 2x2s. And I think the old amateur or the old advanced are 2x2s. And then technicians are 2x3s. Or I think you can upgrade to a 2x or a 1x3 as a technician. Yep. Right. So what you can do is once you figure out if a call sign is free, you go to the ULS, the wireless.fcc.gov, and you apply. It's free. Vanity call signs used to cost $15 back in the day. And you fill out the application and you put, I think there was like 20 spaces, and you put in the spaces which ones you wanted in preference, and you sent your application in, and that was it. And then you get a letter back and say, congratulations, you got this call. There was no like online competition. Am I in competition? Am I not? So if you go to the ULS website and log in, up on the upper left-hand corner, there's a vanity call. You click on vanity call, you fill out the information, send it in, you're done. Then you can come back out here to this AE7Q, and it will tell you. So let's go back out there. It will tell you who applied for what and who actually got it. So let's go out to one that has already 223. So K0GR. If you come down here, so here are all the people that applied for it.
What are they?
If there is, there you go. So this is a prediction on this website. This guy's in competition, so WS1S, KD0, N0AVR. So all these guys are in competition, and I think that they just throw them into a pool and a computer picks. Yeah, it's a lottery. Yep.
After you apply, does it get to apply again, or does it take you out of the pot?
I think so. Tony probably knows more about it than I do.
You have to apply for the 1x2 and 2x1. You have to apply the first day of the day of the class. After that first day, anybody else can get this. Then the process then after a certain period of time, move into something else. The other group is the competition. Like the offline, these are the ones that qualify. So you look at the window of competition, and the day they issue the
Yeah. Yeah. And if you get one, they cancel all the rest of them. So you can see that this guy, sorry, Max, you can see this guy N0EQW, he was too late. So you can see that all these other guys applied on 2/23. He applied 3/1. It's too late. Can't do it. Well, I think that mine was 10 working days. Yeah, mine was 10 working days.
Can you go ahead and reply for another one?
Yeah.
Or is there a waiting period?
Nope.
You already got a new one.
Nope.
You should go for that AA00.
I'm done. I'm done.
Now, several of the classes, and there's one that's coming out to get who it is, or his brother passed away. He wants to call sign.
He can.
If you have priority, and all you have to do is provide family relationship, proof of death, whatever it is.
Right.
We had someone from last year, 2 years ago, whose father, who wanted to call sign. You can do that too.
Yep.
You get priority.
Yep.
And that also applies to even the special calls, like, for example, A0A. Meaning if his children are not extras, they could get it.
No, you have to have the class. Yep. Now, if someone becomes a silent key and you provide, so let's say a silent key, they become a silent key and they just renewed their license, right? The licenses are good for 10 years. If the FCC does not know that they became a silent key, it's out there for 9.5 years or whatever the case may be. Right. So what you can do is, if you know a silent key that had a call sign that potentially you want, or I think that you're doing a good service, is you provide a obituary or something, a proof that person became a silent key, and then once the FCC does their Columbo work, they release that call 2 years and 1 day of the time of death. So if let's say club member Dennis McCarthy recently passed away a couple weeks ago, right? He was AA0A. If someone wanted that call, they could produce an obituary to the FCC, and 2 years to 1 day after he passed away, you would be able to see that call come up on this website, and someone could claim it.
But if it's a family member, they can get it for the
Exactly. All you have to do is prove that you're an immediate family member, and you can grab that call. So if you had a grandpa, I think it's grandparents, parents, brother, sister, and I think that's the cutoff. It's not, oh, I was a third cousin, twice removed. I knew that guy down the street. Yep.
Several years ago, I know Bill was back on mine. People said, well, wow, tell it. W0AKI, her husband passed away. He had all the equipment. He said she had two choices: get rid of it or learn how to use it. At 88 or 89, she got a vet. At 91, she got a vet. She got W0AKI.
Yeah.
What does it mean by phonetic weight? I noticed that on the 2 screens back that you were showing. That phonetic weight on the side.
There's two. So there's two kind of, not classifications, but people sometimes grab call signs by phonetic weight and CW weight. So it's the amount of CW weight is easy. It's the amount of dots and dashes. So how fast you can send it, and phonetic weight is how many syllables. So the reason why I went out after alpha alpha 0Z is because it's quick. Alpha alpha 0Z, right? If you get November, that's 3 syllables. 0, that's 2. Juliet, is that 2? 1. Juliet, that's 2. So you can see if you've got a call with a lot of syllables, you're not going to get it across as fast as something with less syllables. So that's what that means. Some people like short calls. I like short calls because I'm a little dyslexic and I can pick out short calls really easy. And also calls that have like, you know, AA, kilo, because again, I'm a little dyslexic. I can remember those. If you give me a KB0 RPM, by the time I get to M, I've already forgotten, does it start with a K or an N? I'm horrible at that. Absolutely horrible. So I'm horrible on 2 meters. Like, that's why I don't say anybody's call sign on 2 meters. I just say my own because I've probably forgotten your call sign unless I know you, right? You know, like Dan or, you know, some of the people that are on the repeater all the time. I know their call. But if I just met you, I've already forgotten your call. I guarantee it.
And kind of most of us with Southern accent have to repeat that 5 or 6 times.
Right.
STP.
Right. Yeah.
Listen to me.
Yep.
Oh, right.
All right. So I want to go through some slides that we didn't get through on the HF. I'm going to go through these real quick. Some people, you know, they get on HF and, you know, they're calling CQ on 10 meters, you know, during the day or at night, you know, and there's no one around. They're like, well, why can't I contact anybody? Different bands have different characteristics. So I'm going to go through them real quick. This is not a rule, and this is, you know, this is not the world according to Kyle, but these are general practices of band characteristics, and I also called out which ones are contest bands. So if you hate contesters and there's a big contest going on, there's other bands that don't have contests that are going on. You can call CQ on those bands. So 160 meters, day, local 0 to 300 miles, summer at night versus summer during the winter have different characteristics sometimes. So it's, I'm sorry, night during the winter, night during the summer. See, that's dyslexic coming up. So this is primarily an evening and night band, but it's got a lot of static crashes on it. Especially summer, yep. Okay. 75 or 80 meters. So 75 is sideband, 80 meters is CW, right? So sometimes they're called different things. Sometimes they're just called 80 meters. Day is a local band. Night is a local to distant, depending on the height of antenna. So this is your MCOM band. Like, you know, you want to talk across town. You want to talk within, you know, the neighboring states. This is a great contesting band for QSO parties if you're trying to get counties. And then this is the band that you're going to find the most medical talk on too. $60 meters, so there's specific channels on 60 meters that you can talk on. Day is local, night is regional to distant. It's 5 frequencies. Sometimes it acts like 40 and 80 meters. Channel 5 is the de facto DX channel. So it's 100 watts or less when there's no contests. 40 meters, it's a contest band. It's your starter band. So if you're trying to get on HF and you call CQ, get on 40 meters. 40 meters is always open. Doesn't matter what time, day, night. That's a good band to call CQ on. It's regional to distant, depending on the height of the antenna. It has NVIS, near vertical incident skywave, Basically, what that means is the signal goes straight up. If you have an antenna that is close to the ground, the signal goes straight up, hits the ionosphere, comes back down. It's good for county hunting. It's good for contacting Ohio. We got like a pipeline into Ohio from Missouri on 40 meters. But don't put an antenna up that's 20 feet off the ground and expect to call California on it. You might. I have. People have. But typically you're not going to get long distance on 40 meters with an antenna that's close to the ground. 40 meters, I think you need it 35 feet, 36 feet off the ground for it to be effective. Something around there. 30 meters, so it's 200 watts or less. It's part of the WARC band, so that's the World Admin Radio Conference. There's no contest on this band. It's regional, 300 to 500 miles, nights distant. So we don't have priority on this band. Other stations do, so if you hear people calling in and they don't give their call sign, there are other stations. You got to give priority to them if they come in and tell you to shut up, get off my frequency. I've never operated on 30 meters, so I don't even know what it's like. 20 meters, this is another starter band. So this is the long range band. Day, up to 1,000 miles. Night, you can go around the world. Yep. A lot of DX. Yep. A lot of DX. 17 meters, it's another contest band. Very similar to 20 meters, depending on sunspots. Usually if 20 meters is open, sometimes 17 meters is open, but
So the WARC band, 30 meters, 17 and 12.
yeah, I didn't put the WRC bands. I think I put. Oh, you know what? Yeah, that's true. So scratch that off. You're right, Alexandria. That's the WARC band. Sorry about that. So there's no contest on 17 meters. 15 meters. It's a contest band. Acts like 20 meters, but with less range. 12 meters. It's a work band. And then you got 10 meters.
When you say what night distance is 1,000 plus and go around the world?
Whenever, yes, whenever there is, yes. I mean,
Right conditions.
yeah, keep in mind, this is, you go on 10 meters now, you're probably not going to get a lot of people, right? Because we're in a sunspot lull. I mean, you can call CQ. You might get somebody across town.
10 meters, we have done several 10 meters next local. So 10 meters is right at CB, 11 meters. That's all work.
Yep.
10 meters. Unless there's the propagation, it can be a local.
There are contests only on 10 meters. And remember, I said contesters force it open. You can be on 10 meters and be like, is that Russia on 10 meters? Well, so typically, that's a good point. Typically in contests, it's all English. It's all English. Now, deciphering call signs, that's another story. So, you might hear a guy call in English, but his call sign starts with an I, and he's using some type of non-phonetic, imperial, and he's got an accent that you can't understand. There's no point.
But you don't have to, you could move your call sign around anywhere in the United States, right? If I were to go be a hand somewhere in Europe, I would have to start over and get one there.
That's a good question.
You get a guest like,
Yeah,
are you moving there or are you
yeah. So there are different rules. The ARRL has got a whole section on operating in another country and being a permanent resident for a short period or a period of time, and you can get. It all depends on what class you are, because if you go over to England, there are there's like the foundation class, but the foundation class is like our novice, which doesn't exist anymore. So you have to, like, it's weird. The different IRU regions have different rules on getting different classes. So you have to read up on them, but you can get a temporary license in that country if you're going to live there for a while, or you can start all over and take their tests and get a call sign there permanently.
Well, flip side is I think that the wavelengths travel on the right side over in England as opposed to the left.
They do.
That's only on Thursday afternoon.
Okay.
Hey, Cliff, we're going to talk about CW, you have to find letters like Russia has 36 letters.
Right.
All these extra.
Right.
You can imagine what Japanese and Chinese CW is.
That's whenever if you're a big DXer, and I don't know, I only know a few of the countries, but that's whenever you can rattle off, like Shell probably can rattle off. Yeah. Yeah. On what is. Yeah. On different countries, like ones that start with I, ones that start with J. Like J is Japan, I think JAs are Japan. If you go on to the ARRL website, they've got a map of what all the countries and the call signs start with. And whenever they send their call, then oh, that's Russia, or that's Germany, or that's France, or yeah. Yep. There you go, DX Atlas. Yep. Yeah, I've got a big map that I bought, and it's on a wall, and it just kind of points to puts the countries on. So
I have a book called How Things Work. There's a section on radio and Morse code, and it was translated from the German. So the Morse code they gave were all the German letters.
Yeah. I think that there's like correct me if I'm wrong. There's an international Morse code, and then there's I guess an American Morse code. I don't know.
The American one they got rid of a bunch of international. I think A was like dot, space, dot, not, something like that.
Yeah.
Much better having that, not fascist.
Yeah. So, anyway. Questions? I know it's like probably 9 o'clock, right? 8:57, yep. Oh, yeah. So, Tom has got, so you want to talk about your radios?
Yeah. If anybody likes to fix things, I've got 3 radio chat people, weather receivers, they're all the same model. They all have different problems. So between 3, it's pretty likely to make one work. If you have to, like to do that. So if they're there for the safety, if nobody fixes it tonight, I'm ready to do it. But keep the battery on the side.
Do the instruction manuals have the
schematics.
in the middle base?
There is a instruction. What I would, and I haven't taken one apart to find out if there's sub-assemblies and stuff, circuit boards that there are, that's going to be easy. But they all work at one time, and so I just decided to maybe divide it into like that project. I'm more fresh than boss.
You bought one broke, bought another one broke, bought another one broke, and then you just gave up.
No, I got.
Regular shotgun out of
Yeah, I would have gave up after the first one. So any more questions?
If there's no questions, I just want to say thank you for great presentation.
Yeah, thank you. You know, if I said anything wrong, you know, I'm sure there's experts in this room that probably didn't pipe up on some of this stuff. You know, yeah, there's stuff that, you know, it was the world according to Kyle for the last hour and a half. So.
Great. And I have two things. First of all, Mike and Aaron will be in our class next weekend. And there's about 7 or 8 that were in the October class. So if you guys want to tell them what it's all about, Mike and Aaron are back over there. Do what? Bill, do you have anything?
No, Kyle, just thank you for Kyle coming out and doing this.